Is there anyone that can scribe? Waiting on the scribe. Upon his face to the earth before the ark of the Lord. And they took Dagon and set him in his place again. And when they arose early on the morrow morning, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the ground before the ark of the Lord. And the head of Dagon and both the palms of his hands were cut off upon the threshold. Only the stump of Dagon was left to him. Therefore, neither the priest of Dagon nor any that come into Dagon's house tread on the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod unto this day. But the hand of the Lord was heavy upon them of Ashdod, and he destroyed them and smote them with emerods, even Ashdod and the coast thereof. And when the men of Ashdod saw that it was so, they said, the ark of the God of Israel shall not abide with us, for his hand is sore upon us and upon Dagon our God. They sent therefore and gathered all the lords of the Philistines unto them, and said, what shall we do with the ark of the God of Israel? And they answered, let the ark of the God of Israel be carried about unto Goth. And they carried the ark of the God of Israel about thither. And it was so, that after they had carried it about, the hand of the Lord was against the city with a very great destruction. And he smote the men of the city, both small and great, and they had emerods in their secret parts. Therefore they sent the ark of the God to Ekron. And it came to pass, as the ark of God came into Ekron, that the Ekronites cried out, saying, They have brought about the ark of the God of Israel to us, to slay us and our people. So they sent and gathered together all the lords of the Philistines and said, send away the ark of God of Israel, and let it go again to his own place, that it slay us not and our people. For there was a deadly destruction throughout all the city. The hand of God was very heavy there. And the men that died not were smitten with the emerods. And the cry of the city went up to heaven. All right, so nowhere was the ark of God to be without, the men being smitten with something. Now, the Bible says it's called emerods. What are emerods? So everywhere the ark of the Lord was, the city, the people in the city caught emerods. Or I'll say it like this, hemorrhoids. Oh, that kind of helped it out, right? Hemorrhoids. Oh, there we go. Samuel was quick on the draw. Hemorrhoids. I'm going to read the definition so we know that they are hemorrhoids. Because, as you see in one place, they got it on their secret parts. Where was that at? It was in Goth, right? Oh, that's right. It's in my expanded one. Crap, I gave my expanded Bible dictionary. All right, we'll pull it up. Emerald. We'll read the straight definition for us. It says hemorrhoids / tumors. Look at what else it says. It says, or bleeding piles. And even still today, these are very common in Syria. Bleeding piles. I know there was, let me see, where it's talking about the swelling. Oh, it says the swellings were symptoms of a plague in the history of precisely that of the outbreak of the epidemic of bubonic plague. So swelling piles, bleeding, swelling piles. And they're still around, or they're still common today in Syria. Tumors or hemorrhoid. Got it on their secret parts. Right, their butts, right? That's where you would get a hemorrhoid today, right? Or what you would normally show up. But they got it all over as well. Remember that. So they had sores, blisters all over the place. Everywhere the ark of the Lord went. Let's go into chapter 6. First Samuel, 6th chapter, 1st verse. And the ark of the Lord was in the country of the Philistines 7 months. And the Philistines called for the priests and the diviners, saying, what shall we do with the ark of the Lord? Tell us wherewith we shall send it to its place. And they said, if ye send away the ark of the God of Israel, send it not empty, but in any wise return him a trespass offering. Then ye shall be healed, and it shall be known to you why his hand is not removed from you. Then said they, what shall be the trespass offering which we shall return to him? They answered, 5 golden emerods and 5 golden mice, according to the number of the lords of the Philistines. For one plague was on you all, and on your lords. Wherefore ye shall make images of your emerods and images of your mice that mar the land. And ye shall give glory unto the God of Israel. Peradventure, he will lighten his hand from off you, and from off your gods, and from off your land. Wherefore, then do ye harden your hearts, as the Egyptians and Pharaoh hardened their hearts. When he had wrought wonderful among them, did they not let the people go? And they departed? Now you see, it says also send mice, because that was also something that you got plagued with. So not only did they get emerods, there was mice all over the place, infested their cities. All right. Verse 7. Now therefore, make a new cart, and take 2 milch kine, and which there had come no yoke, and tie the kine to the cart, and bring their calves home from them. And the 2 milk kines, anybody know what that is? Make sure we understand what's going on. And it said, on which there had come no yoke, and tie the kine to the cart, and bring their calves home from them. So I want to make sure we do understand. Milch kine that had no yoke, and bring their calves home before them. Right, cows. Women cows, right? Or, yeah, because men cows are bulls, right? So cows. That what? That just had babies. But they're not yet milking, right? not yet milking. They just had babies, and they said bring their calves from them. So bring their babies home, basically away from them, though. And we're going to use them. So it said, I'll read that part again. Verse 7. Now therefore make a new cart, and take 2 milk kine, on which there had come no yoke, and tie the kine to the cart, and bring their calves home from them. And take the ark of the Lord, and lay it upon the cart, and put the jewels of gold which ye return him for a trespass offering in a coffer by the side thereof, and send it away, that it may go, and see if it goeth up by the way of his own coast to Bethshemesh. Then he have done us this great evil. But if not, then we shall know that it is not his hand that smote us. It was a chance that happened to us. And the men did so, took 2 milch kine, and tied them to the cart, shut up their calves at home. And they laid the ark of the Lord upon the cart, and the coffer with the mice of gold, and the images of the emerods. And the kine took the straight way to the way of Bethshemesh, and went along the highway, lowing as they went, and turned not aside to the right hand or to the left. And the lords of the Philistines went after them unto the border of Bethshemesh. And they of Bethshemesh were reaping their wheat harvest in the valley. And they lifted up their eyes and saw the ark, and rejoiced to see it. And the cart came into the field of Joshua, a Bethshemite, and stood there, where there was a great stone, and they clave the wood of the cart, and offered the kine a burnt offering unto the Lord. And the Levites took down the ark of the Lord, and the coffer that was with it, wherewith the jewels of gold were, and put them on great stone. And the men of Bethshemesh offered burnt offerings and sacrifices, and sacrifices the same day unto the Lord. Now you see, they use the cows as basically an assurity. You know, it was a test, because you take the babies from the mother cows, right? You take the babies away, shut them up, and they haven't started to milk the babies yet. What are they going to naturally do? Their natural instinct was going to be trying to get to them babies. Their natural instinct was going to be going to the babies wherever they're at to try to milk them. So that's how they knew. But wait, these cows went straight way to, where the Jews dwell, basically, or at that time, God's kids, or the Hebrews at that time, straight to where they dwelt. And you see, that's how they that's what they used to figure out that this was for sure the Most High God. Otherwise, those cows would have naturally went to the babies. But you see it, they didn't turn right or left. They went straight way. Let's read on. Verse 15 again. And the Levites took down the ark of the Lord, and the coffer that was with it, wherewith the jewels of gold were, and put them on the great stone. And the men of Bethshemesh offered burnt offerings and sacrifices the same day unto the Lord. And when the 5 lords of the Philistines had seen it, they returned to Ekron the same day. And these are the golden emerods, and the Philistines returned for a trespass offering unto the Lord. From Ashdod 1, from Gaza 1, from Ashkelon 1, from Gath 1, and from Ekron 1. So you got Ashdod, Gaza, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron. So those are the 5. And the golden mice, according to the number of all the cities of the Philistines belonging to the 5 lords, both of fit cities and of country villages, even unto the great stone of Abel, whereon they set down the ark of the Lord, which stone remaineth unto this day in the field of Joshua, the Bethshemite. And he smote the men of the Bethshemesh, because they had looked into the ark of the Lord. Even he smote of the people 50,000 and 10 men. And the people lamented, because the Lord had smitten many of the people with a great slaughter, just for looking. See, this is how we got to understand that the Most High is not playing with us. We must serve him. Make sure we do the best of our ability to get it right when serving him. Look how many got killed again. It said 50,000, 70, which is 70 men. We all know score is 20, 60 plus 10. So 50 plus 70. It said 50,000, 10 men. You see that? So that's 50,070. For looking. Had their eyes in the wrong place. So understand that the Most High is not playing. When what he says is what we should do. What he says we should not do is what we should not do. We are not to be looking upon the ark. This is what it was told to us. They did. They suffered death. Verse 20. And the men of Beth-Shemesh said, who is able to stand before the holy Lord God? And to whom shall he go up from us? And they sent messengers to the inhabitants of Kirjath-jearim, saying, the Philistines have brought again the ark of the Lord. Come ye down and fetch it up to you. And the men of Kirjath-jearim came and fetched up the ark of the Lord and brought it into the house of Abinadab in the hill, and sanctified Eleazar his son to keep the ark of the Lord. Or Eleazar. I said Eleazar. Eleazar. Verse 3. Verse 2. Chapter 7, verse 2. And it came to pass, while the ark abode in Kirjath-jearim, that the time was long, for it was 20 years. And all the house of Israel lamented after the Lord. And Samuel spake unto all the house of Israel, saying, if ye do return unto the Lord with all your hearts, then put away the strange gods and Ashtoreth from among you, and prepare your hearts unto the Lord, and serve him only, and he will deliver you out of the hand of the Philistines. Then the children of Israel did put away Baalim and Ashtoreth, and served the Lord only. And Samuel said, gather all Israel to Mizpah, and I will pray for you unto the Lord. And they gathered together to Mizpah, and drew water, and poured it out before the Lord, and fasted on that day, and said, there, we have sinned against the Lord. And Samuel judged the children of Israel in Mizpah. And when the Philistines heard that the children of Israel had gathered together to Mizpah, the lords of the Philistines went up against Israel. And when the children of Israel heard it, they were afraid of the Philistines. And the children of Israel said to Samuel, cease not to cry unto the Lord our God for us, that he will save us out of the hand of the Philistines. So they told him to continue on. Please keep crying so we can get saved out of this. Basically, switch gears. Talk about this now, because this is what's going on. And as Samuel was offering up the burnt offering, and the Philistines drew near to the battle against Israel. But the Lord thundered with a great thunder on that day upon the Philistines, and discomfited them, and they were smitten before Israel. And the men of Israel went out of Mizpah and pursued the Philistines and smote them until they came under Bethkar. Then Samuel took a stone and set it between Mizpah and Shin, and called the name of it Ebenezer, saying, hitherto have the Lord helped us. So the Philistines were subdued, and they came no more into the coast of Israel. And the hand of the Lord was against the Philistines all the days of Samuel. And the cities which the Philistines had taken from Israel were restored to Israel, from Ekron even unto Gath. And the coast thereof did Israel deliver out of the hands of the Philistines. And there was peace between Israel and the Amorites. And Samuel judged Israel all the days of his life. And he went from year to year in circuit to Bethel and Gilgal and Mizpah, and judged Israel in all those places. And his return was to Ramah, for there was his house, and there he judged Israel, and there he built an altar unto the Lord. Let me see. Let me see. Oh yeah. So now we're at that point of actually serving the Most High with offerings. Now we got our ark back. Things are looking up for us. We've defeated the Philistines. You see, the Most High came in and thundered for us, discomforted them. They got nervous. We won that battle against the Philistines. So now, we're on the up and up right now. Again, the Most High was still coming against us. It said that. It said, matter of fact, where did it say that at? Where did it say that the Most High was still, his hand was against us? Excuse me. Oh, I'm sorry. I said against us, huh? I'm just not thinking about what I said. Against the Philistines, I'm sorry. And Samuel spoke with us, or spoke to us the whole time. Sorry, Israel. I said against us, against the Philistines. Sorry. Samuel was speaking to us the whole time. And how many years were we in bondage first until it even happened? So we can understand the time frame as we move on. Well, I'll give you the years. It was 20. If you can recall, it said it had been 20 years. It had been 20 years. And I help you out when you're going to, right, 20 years. And I help you out when you go into last chapter we just read, chapter 7, and you read back at verse 13 at the end. It said the Lord was against the Philistines all the days of Samuel. All right. But before that even happened, we was under them for 20 years. That quick. It said in verse 2 of chapter 7, and it came to pass while the ark abode in Kirjath-jearim, that the time was long, for it was 20 years, and all the house of Israel lamented after the Lord. It was 20 years, But we stood again. We stood again, and that's the good thing. Let's see. Oh, we got plenty of time. Let's go ahead and read on chapter 8. 1 Samuel chapter 8, it says, and it came to pass, when Samuel was old, that he made his sons judges over Israel. Now the name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second is Abiah. They were judges in Beersheba. And his sons walked not in his ways, but turned aside after lucre, and took bribes, and perverted judgment. Oh goodness, wickedness is what we always into. Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together, and came to Samuel into Ramah, and said unto him, behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. But the thing displeased Samuel, when they said, give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto the Lord, and the Lord said unto Samuel, hearken unto the voice of the people and all that they say unto thee. For they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. You see that? Them wanting a king, like all the other nations, they was actually rejecting God. Now it said that God would not reign over them. They wanted a man to be over them like all the other nations. excuse me again, Israel. Verse 8. It says, according to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them up out of Egypt, even unto this day, wherewith they have forsaken me and served other gods, so do they also unto thee. Now therefore hearken unto their voice, howbeit yet protest solemnly unto them, and show them the manner of the king that shall reign over them. So he told Samuel to hearken to them, to speak to them, and show them the manner of the king that's going to be over them. Show them what they go get. They asking for. Verse 10. And Samuel told all the words of the Lord unto the people that asked of him a king. And he said, this will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots, and to be his horsemen, and some shall run before chariots. And he will appoint him captains over thousands, and captains over fifties, and will set them to ear his ground, and to reap his harvest, and to make his instruments of war, and instruments of his chariots. And he will take your daughters to be confectionaries, and to be cooks, and to be bakers. And he will take your fields, and your vineyards, and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. Verse 15. And he will take the tenth of your seed and of your vineyards, and give to his officers and to his servants. And he will take your men servants and your maid servants and your goodliest young men and your asses, and put them to his work. So this is what he's going to be doing. He's going to take our men, put them in the field, use all our men servants, obviously, and put them in the field, and their children, take our daughters and make them confectionaries and cooks and bakers, put them as the maid servants, basically, and sex slaves, confectionaries, confectionaries, or confectionaries. And he will take, verse 17. He will take the tenth of your sheep, and ye shall be his servants. And he shall cry out in that day because of your king, which ye shall have chosen you. And the Lord will not hear you in that day. He says, so you're going to be crying out for basic help now. You're going to cry out in that day. I'm not going to listen. This is what you want. This is what you're going to have. Now, what scripture does that remind you of? This is what you want. This is what you're going to have. I'm going to give you over to your wants. This is what the Most High does. You know, we keep asking and asking, and he knows that it's not good for us. You know, we don't want to be patient, wait on some things. We don't want to do things in his proper order. He says, okay, you want it so bad? Here, have it. Now what? It was in the Exodus period, or was it in the Exodus period? Well, not what I'm necessarily thinking of. Hosea 5:15. Okay, we can read that. Let's look at it. Let's look at it. Hosea 5:15 says, I will go and return to my place, till they acknowledge their offense and seek my face. In their affliction will they seek. All right. All right. You say you go turn away till they acknowledge their offense. I'm thinking of something different. It says, I'll read this part again real quick. Verse 19, it says, 18. And ye shall cry out in that day because of your king, which ye shall have chosen you, and the Lord will not hear you that day. So, I mean, I like Hosea 5:15. It says you turn his face away to acknowledge your offense. Okay, let's get it. Let's go to Proverbs 1. Watch this. Because remember, he's giving them what they want. He said, okay, here, you can have what you want. He said, but once you get it, then you'll be crying. And yes, he said, then he'll turn away. Or he won't hear them. They'll cry and he's not going to hear their cry. Let's read, you know what, let's just go ahead and start at 25. Proverbs chapter 1, verse 25. Look what it says. It says, this book of Proverbs, first chapter and 25th verse. But ye have said at naught all my counsel, and would none of my reproof. I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh. When your fear cometh as a desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you. He said, I'm going to laugh at this time. I'm going to laugh then. Look why. Or look what he does. Then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. You see that? Then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. For that they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord. They would none of my counsel. They despised all my reproof. Therefore shall they eat of the fruit of their own way. Shall they eat of the fruit of their own way, and be filled with their own devices, and filled with their own devices. He said, okay, I'll give you a king. This is what type of king is going to be. Hey, you guys don't want to believe me? You guys going to go and roll with that? Hey, you guys are going to be crying, and God's not going to hear you. He's not going to listen. Because now you're upset. Now you're like, oh, man, this is the wrong thing. Hey, but it's already been warned. She didn't want to take none of his knowledge. This is what he's saying right now in 1 Samuel chapter 8. Saying the same thing. Let's read on. Let's read 19. Go from there. Verse 19. Nevertheless, the people, 1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 19. Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel. And they said, nay, but we will have a king over us. You see that? They refused the knowledge. No, they didn't care about that. We're going to do this. This is what we want. We're going to have a king over us. Verse 20. That we also may be like all the nations, and that our king may judge us and go out before us and fight our battles. And Samuel heard all the words of the people, and he rehearsed them in the ears of the Lord. And the Lord said to Samuel, hearken unto their voice, and make them a king. And Samuel said unto the men of Israel, go ye every man into his city. So, they're going to get what they want. But you see what the Most High said? The Most High said, oh, you're going to be crying once you get it. Once I give you to your own ways, to your own devices. Chapter 9. Now there was a man of Benjamin, whose name was Kish, or Kish, the son of Abiel, the son of Zerar, the son of Bachroth, the son of Aphiah, a Benjamite. Okay, we still there? All right. We'll read that part again so we can get it. Well, I mean, you got the lineage, right? Now, there was a man of Benjamin whose name was Kish, the son of Abiel, the son of Zerar, the son of Bachroth, the son of Aphiah, the Benjamite, a mighty man of power. So, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to hold off on that. Never mind. I was going to go somewhere, but no. Let's keep reading. Watch this. Verse 2. And he had a son whose name was Saul, a choice young man and a goodly. So now we know what? We know Saul is a Benjamite. All right. Saul is a Benjamite. Most of us already knew that, right? And he's now the first king. Oh, well, we haven't got to that point yet. Okay, let's keep reading. And he had a son named Saul, a choice young man and a goodly. And there was not among the children of Israel a goodlier person than he. From his shoulders and upward, he was higher than any of the people. And the asses of Kish, Saul's father, were lost. And Kish said to Saul, his son, Take now one of the servants with thee, and arise, go seek the asses. And he passed through Mount Ephraim, and passed through the land of Shalisha, but they found him not. Then they passed through the land of Shalim, and there they were not. And he passed through the land of the Benjamites, but they found them not. And when they were come to the land of Zuph, Saul said unto his servant that was with him, Come, and let us return, lest my father leave, carrying for the asses, and take thought for us. And he said unto him, Behold, now there is in the city of a man of God, and he is an honorable man. All that he saith cometh surely to pass. Now let us go thither peradventure. He can show us our way that we should go. Then said Saul to his servant, But behold, if we go, what shall we bring the man? For the bread is in our vessels, and there is not a present to bring to the man of God. What have we? And the servant answered Saul again and said, Behold, I have here a hand, the fourth part of the shekel of silver, that will I give to the man of God. Tell us our way. So now they're looking for some guidance. Now they want to make sure that, hey, they're doing things correctly. Now, who is that? It says, the land of Zuph. Saul said to his servants, Come and let us return, lest my father leave carrying the asses and take thought for us. All right, so this is Saul. He's a young man, he's worrying about his dad coming. All right. And now we're in verse 9. I'm going to read 8 again, but we're in verse 9. And the servant answered Saul again and said, Behold, I have here at hand the fourth part of the shekel of silver, that will I give to the man of God to tell us our way. Verse 9. Before time in Israel, when a man went to inquire of God, thus he spake, Come and let us go to the seer. Hold up. Let me see if I can find it. One good second, Israel. Come, let us go to see. No. Yeah, I think I'm going to drop that too. Let me see. Kept my charge. No. That said that, right? Well, basically, they got this from not going to see a seer, but actually going to see. I'll use the example. That's fine. Going to see a priest. So let's go to Genesis 25. So I just want to make sure we all get it. So I will use the quick example, but it doesn't say the exact words I was thinking, but that's okay. Still a good example of what Rebecca done. And we all know these verses, I believe. Genesis 25, verse 22 and 23. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. She went to inquire of the Lord. She went to inquire of the Lord. Now, these guys, they just looking for a seer. I wanted to show the difference. But it's still speaking in the same reference, and we'll go find out. Verse 23, And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separate. We know the rest, right? But I just wanted that top part. And the Lord said unto her. So she was going to a righteous man. She was going to a prophet, okay? Whoever the prophet was, just like right now Samuel is the prophet, to get told directly what God would have her to do. All right. So now let's find out what happens with Saul going to a seer. Where'd I leave off? Verse 8 or 9, right? 9. Excuse me again. Before time, so verse 9 again. Before time in Israel, when a man went God, thus he spake. Oh, see there? I even missed that part. Because it don't just say seer only. It says when to require of God. When to require of God. It said, thus he spake, come and let us go to the seer. For he that is now called a prophet was before time called a seer. There he goes. There it is, right there. He that was before time called a prophet was called a seer. Verse 10. Then said Saul to his servant, well said, come, let us go. So they went unto the city where the man of God was. And as they went up the hill to the city, they found young maidens going out to draw water, and said unto them, is the seer here? And they answered, and they answered them and said, he is, behold, he is before you. Make haste now, for he came today to the city, for there is a sacrifice of the people today in the high place. As soon as ye become into the city, ye shall straightway find him, before he go up to the high place to eat. It says, for the people will not eat until he come, because he doeth bless the sacrifice, and afterwards they eat that he bidden. Now, that be bidden, Now therefore, get you up, for about this time you shall find him. And they went up unto the city, or into the city. And when they were come the city, behold, Samuel came out against them for to go. Let's see what happened. For to go up to the high place, verse 15. Now the Lord had told Samuel in his ear a day before, Saul came saying, tomorrow about this time I will send thee a man out of the land of Benjamin, and thou shalt anoint him to be captain over my people Israel, that he may save my people out of the land of the Philistines. For I have looked upon my people, because their cry has come unto me. And when Samuel saw Saul, the Lord said unto him, behold, the man whom I speak to thee of, so behold, the man that I speak to thee of, this same shall reign over my people. Then Saul drew near to Samuel in the gate and said, tell me, I pray thee, where the seer's house is. And Samuel answered Saul and said, I am the seer. Go up before me into the high places. For ye shall eat with me today, and tomorrow I will let their... Nope. Let me read it again. It says, I will start back over 19. And Samuel answered Saul and said, I am the seer. Go up before me into the high place. For ye shall eat with me today and tomorrow. I will let thee go, and will tell thee all that is in thy heart. There you go. For as for thy asses that were lost 3 days ago, set not thy mind on them, for they are found. And on whom is desire of Israel? Is it not on thee and on all thy father's house? And Saul answered and said, am I not a Benjamite, of the smallest of the tribes of Israel? And my family the least of all the families of the tribe of Benjamin? Wherefore then speakest thou so to me? And Samuel took Saul and his servant and brought them into the parlor and made them sit in the chiefest place among them that were bidden, which were about 30 persons. And Samuel said unto the cook, bring the portion which I have gave thee, of which I said unto thee, set it by thee. And the cook took up the shoulder, and that which, keep losing my place. And the cook took up the shoulder, and that which was upon it, and set it before Saul. And Samuel said, behold, that which is left, set it before thee and eat. For unto this time have it been kept for thee since I said, and I have invited the people. So Saul did eat with Samuel that day. So right now it's all good, right? Right now it's all good. Right now. So Saul did eat with Samuel that day, using Samuel as what? The seer. And when they were come down from the high place into the city, Samuel communed with Saul upon the top of the house. And they arose early, and it came to pass about the spring of the day that Samuel called Saul to the top of the house, saying to the top of the house, saying, up, that I may send thee away. And both of them, he and Samuel, were brought. And as they were going down to the end of the city, Samuel said to Saul, bid the servant pass on before us. And he passed on. But stand thou still a while, that I may show thee the word of God. So now what he wants to do is give them all the info. Why? We're going to find out in chapter 10. Actually, we're going to save chapter 10. I'm going to shorten the class up just a little bit tonight or this morning. We're going to save chapter 10. Let me see here. Yeah, so we have a shorter class. So it'll be a short class today, basically. I want to save 10. We will go into that. Pull out a couple things there. Yeah. So that way we won't be going over. Yeah, that's in there. So yeah, because we're gonna do a couple flipping. We're gonna be doing a couple flips back and forth. When we go into 10, so I don't want that to run us over now. All praises. Hey, you did good, brother. All praises. And then you could definitely always, when you are scribing, do like 10 through, and then when I stop again, put down whatever number that was. You do it that way, or however you do it. One thing about doing every single verse, you kind of run away from the scriptures if someone's trying to catch the back scripture. But this is right, okay, because all we're doing is reading straight through. So there isn't nothing to catch up to, you know. But we was jumping back and forth through different scriptures, then you might not want to do it so much. Yeah, all praises, man, all praises. And thank you again for scribing. Yeah, any questions on Samuel 5 through 9? 5 through 9. Again, we'll start 10 next week. Let me see. So, right now we're just getting the history. We're about to start going into, well, we starting to see the relationship between Saul and Samuel. The relationship between the two. Because right now, who was it? Well, I just say it instead of, because it's kind of self-explanatory anyways. Because right now, Samuel is Saul's prophet. Just like Nathan was David's prophet. There's always prophets, in the time of a king. So a king always had a prophet or someone that he went to seek out what God has to say about things. All right. So again, I open up the floor for questions. And today, because we have a lot, let me see. Let me look at it again. Yeah, so for today we have questions, and everyone can ask right now. Not brothers, then sisters. The sisters can ask right now as well, because we have a lot of sisters on. Not too many brothers, especially to the sisters. So any questions, anything that was confusing, any word that I ran over that we didn't explain, just go ahead and ask. And next week we'll be starting in chapter 10. Mark that thing. Oh, yeah, all praises, all praises. Yeah, all praises to the Most High, sis Abigail. Okay, Abraham. Shalom, brother, please explain chapter 7, verse 6. And drew water, let's see. Excuse me again. And someone gathered on his room this power. And they got. Oh yeah, that's just saying what it's saying. They drew water. They was going to drink it. They poured it out though, and they fasted to the Most High. I mean, this is kind of real carnal, but if you know anything about what the youngsters used to do, or quote unquote the gangsters used to do for the dead homies, they pour out a little bit of liquor. Well, they was pouring out the water for the Most High. They started their fast. That's what we used to do to start fast a lot, is pour water out. Okay. Samuel was from Benjamin. Oh no, that's Saul. Samuel was let's get that. Make it plain too. I'll go back. It says all right, so you go back to Samuel chapter 1. And you find out Elkanah is the grandfather of Samuel through his lineage, through his father's lineage. Elkanah was Ephraim, so that's what Samuel was. And there was somewhere else. So that's the lineage right there, chapter 1, verse 1 for Samuel. And how you know that's for Samuel is he speaks of his dads. It gets down to the sons of Eli. So it goes, Elkanah, who was the son of Jeroham, the son of Elihu, the son of Toah, the son of Zupha, Ephrathite, and he had 2 wives. All right? And Peniah had children. And well, actually, wait a minute. I just read that wrong. Hold on. They had 2 wives, Hannah and Peniah had children. And these men had like the city of Eli, hopefully. Oh, no, wait. Eli is somewhere else. Eli is not in the lineage of Samuel. It says Eli was there when he went to go up to worship. Hold up. So you would have the, let's see. Phineas. Oh, I'm sorry. I gotta be tired of Israel because I already explained this, and I'm now confusing myself. Don't worry about Eli. Don't worry what I just said about Eli. Eli was just there. The reason he got introduced is because he was there and he seen Hannah crying out. All right? Because Hannah was the one who had a baby by Elkanah, who was Samuel. So yes, Samuel was an Ephraimite. You read that verse 19 and 20 in chapter 1. It says, and they rose up early in the morning, worshiped before the Lord, returned, came their house to Ramah, and Elkanah knew Hannah, his wife, and the Lord remembered her. Wherefore it came to pass, when the time was come about for Hannah had conceived, that she bare a son, and called his name Samuel. All right. So yes, Samuel is Elkanah's son, which we find out Elkanah's lineage through First Samuel chapter 1. He's Ephraim from the Mount. Well, says his great granddad was an Ephraimite, meaning living in that city, which was a city of originally Judah, but Ephraimite still. They're Ephraimites. So Samuel was Ephraim. That was too long and too drawn out. Hope I didn't confuse. So again, First Samuel, first chapter in the first verse, you find out the lineage of Elkanah. Elkanah is Samuel's father. You find that out in verse 19 and 20. Elkanah had Samuel, which makes Samuel Ephraimite. All right. Sorry about that. All right, all praises. And what was the difference between the priest and the prophet at this time? Well, the priest was still still was a Levitical order set. So the priests were all the Levites. The prophets could have been from any tribe, and they were the ones that kind of walked the earth, and they were closer to God, able to give you insight of what to do. The priests were the ones that we still took the sacrifices to, and still gave them the firstling of our flocks, and set them up, and basically took care of them. They were the priests. That was the Levites. Still had the Levitical order at this time. They were the Levites. The prophets could have been from any tribe, and they were the ones that gave more of an insight. The priests were there to pretty much sacrifice, to make sacrifice. That was their main duty. Right. Yeah, prophecy was the gift, right. Well, I mean, the judges were always pretty much prophets. So the judges hadn't went anywhere. It was just that Samuel was now the judge. And actually, we read that, right? It said that at the end of, what chapter was that? 8? Let me see. No, I think it was the end of chapter 7. Let me look. Yeah, the end of chapter 7. So nothing had happened to the judge. What happened to the judges? They were always prophets. Just like different judges when we go into judges. Excuse me, at the end of chapter 7, in 1 Samuel, verse 15, it says, and Samuel judged Israel all the days of his life. verse 7, and then if I read on, it says, and he went from year to year in circuit to Bethel, to Gilgal, to Mizpah, and judged Israel in those places. And his return to Ramah, for this was his house, and there he judged Israel. So yeah, so the prophets were the judges, always, even in the book of Judges. It's just that we didn't have too many. It's that, yeah, what's going on when you read through Judges. We didn't do right to say them. Let's see here. Michael Dixon, chapter 6, 18, mice. Yeah, there was mice. Now, it wasn't expounded upon, but we know that they also, with the hemorrhoids hitting them, they also got plagued with mice all over the city, the different cities. Because that's why they said, though, let's go ahead and send that back as well. We could read it real quick. Oh, goodness. 6:18 says, and the golden mice, according to the number of all the cities of the Philistines belonging to the 5 lords, both in the 5 cities and the countries of the villages, even to the great stone of Abel. Right? So look, all right, chapter 6, verse. Hey, where the heck did I say that at? It was right when they was talking about, oh, right here. Right here. Verse 4. It says, then said they, what shall be the trespass offering which we shall return to him? Remember this chapter 6, verse 4, 1 Samuel. It says, they answered 5 golden emerods and 5 golden mice, according to the number of the lords of the Philistines, for 1 plague was on you all and on your lords. Wherefore you shall make images of your emerods and images of your mice that mar the land. See, images of the mice that mar the land. Images of the mice that mar the land. So that was also another plague on them. Or the mice was, marring the land. They was destroying it. Like just like to mar your beard is to destroy your beard. Oh yeah, we looked that up too before. He came out of Ephraim though. Let's see. So when we first read 1 Samuel, I went over that, the Ephraimite. That's what we read too, didn't we, sis? Thank you, sis, Jacqueline. Because when we first went over 1 Samuel, I had read that. This goes back up to that question of who Samuel was. Right, from the house of Koath. That is right. The Kohathites. Right, we did go over that too. I explained I'm over here weary. Cause I explained that Ephraimite, I was saying he came out of Ephraim, he was an Ephraimite nonetheless because of the heritage. But then I said he was a Ephraimite or from Ephraim. He was out of the city of Ephraim, but I didn't say he was a Levi. Yes, when you go to 1 Chronicles 6, because that's what we read. And actually, you'll start at 27. You start at 27. That's how you know that it's the same person. Elkanah. Thank you, sis. That was some good correction. Good. So let me look up. Let me scroll up. Abaddon. Samuel was from what tribe? He was Levi. Samuel was Levi. Ephraimite is, you'll find it in First Chronicles, and yes, we did go over that. And when we was reading First Samuel, I didn't even pull it out, running over it. Don't want to be causing no confusion on here, because we went over that in Chronicles. Start at verse 27. Good job, sis. Sis Jacqueline. They came out of the land of Ephraim. So, because I was explaining to you all that Ephraimite and it was two different things. It doesn't mean that he was from Ephraim, although he was from that land. And his dad was Ephraimite, but you see, he was from the Kohathites, which were Levi. Good. All praises. So I did not say he was Levi. I still didn't even answer your question. Right. Right, bro Kafir, right. Not this Saul. Oh wait, I skipped something. Right. Came out the land of Ephraim. Right, Kafir. Who wrote the books of Samuel? I'll get that right now. Let me see. Yeah, that's right. Oh, I know where. Let me see. Dang it, I don't have that written in. Who? I'm going to have to refine that answer. Who wrote the book of Samuel? I know I had it in my old Bible and I messed around and lost it. So I do not know as of now. I'm going to have to refine that answer. Let me look at one other place. I think it might be in my archives over here. Let me see. Yeah. Yep. I'm not for sure. I mean, at glance, and then as when you read down, you would yeah, I don't know. Because I think I probably would say Samuel, and that's probably incorrect. So, especially going into David. Because a lot of times the prophets are right, or the prophets would have a lot of times the prophets would write the books, or the prophets would have a scribe. Like Jeremiah had a scribe, so he didn't do a lot of writing because he had Baruch. Isaiah did a lot of writing for himself. Ezekiel did a lot of writing for himself. So in here, it would have been like Eli, Samuel, or if they had scribes, or like when you go further in Nathan, because David was David's prophet, but I don't know. I don't know. So, but I know I had that. I think that was written down in my old Bible, so I lost it. So, yeah, but I will try to get you that answer though. I will try to get you that answer. Let's see. Where am I at? Did Saul change his name to Paul? Oh, no, not this Saul. This Saul was the first king of Israel. The Saul that changed his name to Paul was years later in the Roman captivity. This Saul was a Benjamite, first king of Israel. Well, heck? Oh, hold on. Too, as far as all the history teachers, better than public education, definitely all praises. We will not learn this stuff in school for sure. But as far as that question, do you think the sons of Samuel caused the people to want a king? Let's look at one thing real quick. So let's look back at chapter 7 to kind of see if we can answer that for ourselves. Far as if the sons of Samuel had the people want a king. Let's go to chapter 7. We'll start at verse 3. It said, "And Samuel spake to all the house of Israel, saying, If you do return unto the Lord with all your hearts, then put away the strange gods of Ashtoreth from among you, and prepare your hearts for the Lord, and serve him only, and he will deliver you out of the hand of the Philistines." Then the children of Israel did put away Balaam and Ashtoreth, and serve the Lord only. And Samuel said, "Gather all Israel to Mizpah, and I will pray for you unto the Lord." And they gathered together in Mizpah, and drew the water, and poured it out before the Lord, and fasted on that day, and said, "There, we have sinned against the Lord." And Samuel judged the children of Israel in Mizpah. And when the Philistines heard the children of Israel gathered together in Mizpah, the Lord of the Philistines came. Okay, we know that. He smit them with the thunders. And the children of Israel, okay, verse 8. "And the children of Israel said to Samuel, Cease not to cry unto the Lord, for our God, he will save us out of the hand of the Philistines." Samuel cried out, burnt the offerings. They won the battle. Philistines subdued. Let's go to. So remember, Samuel said, "Leave the other gods alone." Right. So they left the other gods alone. They won the battle. And then his two sons basically took over being judges. They took bribes and they perverted judgments, right? So that's what the two sons did. They took bribes and perverted judgments, right? And they told him, "You're old. Your sons don't walk in your way. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations." Now, the question was posed, do you think it was because of the sons that they asked for a king? Now, on one hand, you would say, well, maybe because they figure, well, they're not doing correctly, so give us someone. But look what it says. It says, verse 5 in chapter 8. It says, make us a king to judge as like all the nations. Again, you could say, well, they wanted that because, hey, the two sons didn't judge correctly. Or they what? Let's go to, where's that at? Is this what he told me? No, that's not what he told me. That's not the same. Let me see. Look at the let's go back to what the Most High told Israel what would happen. Let's go to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 17. So, I mean, you can say, I mean, still yet, I mean, that's what it appears to be as well, because they said, and your kids don't judge correctly, so give us a king. Look what the prophecy said regardless, though. This is the prophecy of the Most High God, so this was going to happen. That's the way it happened, though. So you could say it could have been for the kids. What it really is that they wanted to be like the other nations. Look what Deuteronomy says. So Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse... let's just start at verse 12. Deuteronomy 17, verse 12, it says, "And the man that will do presumptuously and will not hearken unto the priest that standeth to minister there before the Lord thy God, or unto the judge, even that man shall die. And thou shalt put away the evil from Israel, and all the people shall hear and fear, and do no more presumptuously. When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, and shall possess it, it shall dwell therein." And shall dwell therein, and shall say, "I will set a king over me, like as all the nations that are about me. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother." But he shall not multiply horses. Okay, then that goes into what the king should do. So you see, that one was going to happen regardless. They was going to do it because why? Like the other nations. Again, Deuteronomy 17 was the prophecy of it. So now it was played out in Samuel 8 that they wanted to be like the other nations. That's what it comes down to. And then as you see, Samuel told them, look, don't do it, don't do it. And when you go down to like verse 19, it said they didn't care. They refused to obey. So that's what they wanted. They wanted to be like the other nations. They seen the other nations had it. They wanted to have it too. And that was their reasoning that the two sons, so that was more or less the excuse. The two sons ain't judging right. You about to die, so hey, let us have this like all the other nations. So that was the real reason why they really wanted the one king to be like the other nations. Oh, the tribe of Dan, yeah, it's off topic, definitely. But they just mixed too much. They just mixed throughout even all of Israel and the other nations, and they became nothing. They became not a tribe, that's all. They're still out there, but they're, they would consider themselves to be a different tribe, not Dan. They just mixed amongst they mixed amongst Israel and the rest of the nations. They mixed themselves out. There's prophecy on it as well. Hey, Jacqueline's on it. Look at that thing. That very well probably what I had written down beforehand. I don't know. I don't remember. Oh, no. That one was good, though, sis Jacqueline. That one was good. I mean, granted, they probably still had part in writing the book of Samuel, but right there, when you have books, I'll explain it this way. When you have books, it don't necessarily mean it was written by them. For the most part, though, you would say, yeah. That's why I say the prophets, they basically all they wrote, like we know Ezekiel wrote a lot of his own stuff. Jeremiah, we know he did, and we know Baruch wrote a lot of his stuff because he had a scribe. Isaiah, he wrote a lot of his stuff. But in 1 Chronicles 29:29, what that is telling us is you find out about what David did. So they wrote about David. So that doesn't tell us that doesn't tell us that they wrote Samuel. They're saying the book of Samuel. So they're saying Samuel wrote about David. It's also saying that Nathan, so we know that we have a book of Nathan, because it said in the book of Nathan, but that's not, that's not with us. And I don't want no one to go look and think that if they find a book of Nathan, that must be the authentic one, because I'll tell you that is not going to be. What we have is what we have. You read that in Revelations. Gotta find it. Three. So yeah, go to 3, Revelations 3:11. So if you go find, like, let's say a book of Nathan or a book of whatever, because there's a lot of books that's like even the book of Jasher, but it wasn't included in none of this. So that means the Most High wasn't preserving it for us. These are the things that we're going to have to relearn. These are the things that that Christ is going to come and deliver to us, give us the understanding of. When you go into Esdras chapter 14, he tells Esdras, as when he rewrote the Bible, he said, leave some out. He said, give this to this much and then leave the rest out. Okay. So, if you did find, let's say, a book of Nathan or something like that, don't deal with it. I'll just put it straight up. I mean, you can go, you can do what you want to do, but my advice is to not deal with it because it's not going to be authentic. So Revelations 3:11, it tells us this. It says, "Behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown." Now, of course, that's talking about what you have as far as the law, statutes, and commandments, but that's also talking about the understanding or the information that you have. Hold fast to what you have. So this is what we have, okay? But again, that was good though, sis, Jacqueline, with that book of Nathan and book of Gad. So that's how we know that there is more books, but that's just basically saying that they wrote about David. So that means in the book of Nathan, you find more stuff about what David did. Whoa. Probably some more superhuman acts. The book of Gad as well. We're going to find more stuff about what David did in those other books. Now we have Samuel, so we see the acts of David in Samuel. You know, how he didn't kill Saul, although God told him to, you know, how he leaped over walls, how, you know, so how he killed a giant with a slingshot, you know, these things that we know about David. Okay, it's recorded in Samuel. But that's not saying that they wrote Samuel. But that was still good, sis. But that's not saying that. So, but I know there's something. I've gotten it before. I'm pretty sure. I just don't remember. So I don't know that. If I don't remember, that means I don't know. And I know I had it written down, but I lost my other Bible. So shaking my head on that one. Still looking for it. I lost it in New York, out of all places. Oh God. Went to New York and left without my Bible. I actually had two Bibles at the time. I had this one and I had the other one. I had just got this one and I was, transferring notes and things and messed around. Came back home without it. But yeah, that was still good though, sis. All praises. Because remember, Israel, we all are supposed to study to answer. Remember that. Yes, the sisters don't try to teach men. Sisters don't try to teach men. Obviously, don't try to assert no authority. But we are all supposed to study to answer. We are all supposed to. That's men and women. All right. But yeah, sis. But yeah, just don't get ahead of yourself, though, sis. Right. Where are you getting this information? How'd you even get that? Where'd you get that? Hey, she might be a great note taker, man. We got plenty of sisters that take great notes in different classes. Oh, now Jacqueline and got Rebecca started. She didn't put, I think. Oh, sis, we don't want to know what you think, sis. Jacqueline came with a scripture. Yadadia in the Netherlands. You said which verse was it? What verse? I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you talking about Revelations? It said, hold fast to what you have. It was, or was it the Deuteronomy one? When it gave the prophecy of that they was going to, want another king? Okay, yeah, Benjamin just wrote it. Deuteronomy 17:15. Yeah, that's the prophecy that we was gonna ask for Saul. Basically, we was gonna ask for a king. He was gonna be from our brethren to be like the other nations. To be like the other nations. trying to be like the other nations. See, that's old, man. That's real old. We've been doing that for way too long, trying to be like everybody else. Messes us up every time. Every single time. You know, that's why the scripture tells us this Bible's written for our learning. It's written for our learning. Things written for time is for our learning. So we know what not to do and what to do. But y'all praises, we stopped at, where did we stop again? Chapter 9. We start in chapter 10 next week. Lord's will. He let me breathe long enough to get back. We'll be back here again doing chapter 10. And see how far we get from there. All right, all praises to the Most High Israel. That's it on the questions. Oh, hey, so Sister Ataya and her team, along with bro Kafir, he's a part of the team, doing an excellent job, putting in much work. They got a website. We're going to announce it. So I'm not going to say the name just yet. We're going to announce it, though. It'll be public. And on the website, they're compiling the list as well. And I got some more. That's what I was going. I'm going to email you, Kafir. I got some more business names because that we had been starting too. You got a lot of them that we already had on the list. So, you know, but they have compiled a list of businesses that's in Israel. We're going to keep filling it up, fill that list up. So now I'm not going to be posting up the list of businesses at the end of class because they're going to have it on the website. We will be announcing that. And that's where we're going to start to go for our video, or our audio recordings of classes. If you miss class, and extra notes, other notes. All right. So they have been putting in great works. All praises to the Most High. So yeah, I'm going to email you, Kafir, with the other business names that we have or that we have compiled that I didn't see on the website. But all praises, man. All praises to the Most High. So yeah, Israel, we got things coming, man. Israel, we're moving. You know, as long as we stay in the spirit, there's nothing that we can't do, and we're going to continue to move. The Most High has saved us for this reason, you know, because he could have wiped us all the way out, but you know, he said no, I still choose you. So all praise to the Most High, and now we're starting to see the fruits of it. All right, stay strong, Israel. Keep the power of the Most High on you. Continue to strive and let the time be short, and let our enemies be destroyed right in front of our faces as we build up. And they fear the army of the Most High God. That's right. Shalom, shalom, Most High in Christ. Blessed to you all. Love you, Israel.